fear failure. As long as it's not going to kill you, it's going to make you what? Stronger.
Purchase your tracks today.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the HNVLOG, man. This is 2022. Happy New Year to everybody out there, and looking forward for a continuation of another year. And today's topic, this is the first topic for the year, actually, and I want to talk about something very important that is misunderstanding around innovation. And what specific there is around innovation. There's two types of innovation. But before I get started, I want to overall talk about the status of 2021, especially in the startup ecosystem in Africa, right? I caught a lot of flack and criticism, especially around my friends, about how critical I am about some of the funding bias videos I've done, some of the criticism of who's getting what, but that, the bigger picture of things, that overall the startup scene in Africa, there's been a light shining on it, because of all this investment coming to the continent, and especially some of the 4 or 5 unicorns last year. And I had a chance to reflect and really think about it. And it is true. I had to take a step back and really realize that, all this narrative, all this media attention is good for everybody. Because it shows, where the opportunity is for today and the future. That there is opportunity and companies that can get to the unicorn status in Africa. But also that, there is money coming in, I read a few reports between 4 to 5 billion compared to 1 to 2 billion last year, the year before. So all that is good information. It's good for the ecosystem. I truly believe that. Set aside my views, I think we shouldn't lose track of what's happening also on who's getting what, some of the gaps that still need to be filled up. But it comes back to this topic of the day, which is a very important topic and very important to understand, depending where you are as a startup, which industry you're focusing on. When you look at innovation, it's a very big picture, right? Everybody now is using this innovation tag on their business, which is fine. But there's two types of innovation. Right? And I'm not going to get into a complicated word. Type 1, innovation is basically, most of the innovation you see is improving what's already out there. It's just improving certain industry, the financial industry, the educational industry, the health industry, and bringing a technology, to improve different area of those industries. You see ed tech, health tech, fintech. All those are improvement of an existing industry, right? And what's very important to understand about type 1 innovation, it's already, most people understand, they know those industry already, and it's easier to sell innovation in that space because you're just showing added value or value proposition that was not there before, with its cost, faster process, and there's a lot of example. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because that's the type 1 is a non-innovation. But what's important to know is that 80% plus investment goes to type 1 innovation, right? And because, again, it's easier for investor to understand. You can get much higher return on type 1 innovation because it's already existing. Businesses that you're improving on. For the consumer side, it's easier to sell. You're not creating anything new, right? Type 2 innovation, that's where the space we are at ARED, but that's where my passion is, right? And type 2 innovation is basically you creating a new industry that was not there before. And then there's a lot of example: robotics, drone technology, EV, it's a new industry, infrastructure, whether it's energy, digital, we see home solar system, mini grids, all that. And I'm sure I'm missing some. I'm not going to list all of them. But there's a lot of what's happening in that space also. And type 2 innovation, it's where you're really leading or creating a new industry if you're the first one, but it's leading the way to the future, right? And that future, a lot of time you have to educate your consumer, your customer, because it's a new industry. I remember drone technology when it started. And it always progressed. Started for entertainment, videos, to all that now is delivery of health, delivery of products. Big one is blockchain, crypto. This blockchain infrastructure have opened the door for decentralization of infrastructure, which is massive. A lot of people are talking about the 3.0 internet that's going to be built. That's going to be the future. It's debatable. That's not the point of this particular video. But the challenge in that space, unfortunately, is less capital is engaging into that space, right? There is less VC into that space. There's more money coming in, but it varies per industry. If you look at industry where hardware component, it's even harder to get funding. If you look at industry like blockchain, crypto, and all those things, it took years, decades. Now everybody's talking about it. 10 years ago, it was laughable. I remember it was that famous crypto. It's slipping my mind now. But anyway, Bitcoin. Everybody was laughing at it. Now look, you have institutional investor buying Bitcoin. You have big investor now getting involved. But the problem is, and always when I talk, guys, I always refer to the African market. You rarely see the type 2 innovation in Africa. In Europe, especially in the US and China, is growing tremendously. In Africa, it's still very niche. Finding a VC that want to invest in type 2 innovation is very difficult, if not impossible. So most companies have to structure the company outside the continent. And when you start a business, you need to know which type you are in, right? Because it will tell you how hard it will be for you to raise capital. It's just that simple. And a lot of time we look at innovation as one big family, and we don't understand the dynamic of how VC thinks, look at things. You have to understand something. Investors in general, VCs, I won't say less angel investors because usually they're entrepreneur, but VCs, PE, anything above and beyond, they sheep, not wolf. Not to take anything away, it's not a bad connotation. What I mean by that, they follow, they don't lead, right? It's the entrepreneur that lead on the innovation, and the investment follows on it, So we always let VCs dictate. When we talk to them, they tell you they're not interested. A lot of time because, if you're in type 2, for example, and you're very new, you create a new industry, they just don't know. They don't understand. There's no data in there. There's no reference for them to see, oh, there's another company that's been into that space. And Tesla is a very, very big example that most people can check. Now everybody, again, most VCs talking about Tesla like it's the greatest thing ever. But when it started and all, so many people laugh at Tesla, and I'm sure there's plenty of other opportunities. I think robotics is going to definitely be huge, especially space mining. I think that's definitely going to be massive. I'm not a big fan of metaverse, but again, that's just me. But at the same time, you know, those innovation are type 2, right? So those are leading the way. And why is it important to understand? When you lead a new industry, right, you're in a space where very few or nobody is in there, right? So you have room for error, you have room for growth, but it requires patient investment, patient money to come in, because you'll make a lot of mistakes. You're pretty much walking the unknown. And a lot of VCs or a lot of investors don't understand it, you know, but you have to allow yourself time to get to where you need to be at. A lot of people, or a lot of young people that I meet that are in a type 2 space, they don't understand why, number one, they're not scaling as fast as type 1 innovation, because they don't understand it's two different dynamics. Number one, you have to educate the customer. You're bringing something new that never been seen before. There's an education process that needs to be done. You need to not just develop the value, but show that value. Educate the customer about that value, right? That takes time, number one. Then you have to find a way to monetize that new industry, because you have no reference. How do you monetize it? Is it a, you know, subscription, SaaS model, so on, so forth? And then, especially in Africa, how do you scale that industry? Because you have to find a way to scale without burning through a lot of money. That's some of the mistakes a lot of companies are making. So for you guys, startup out there, for you know, whether you want to start a business or whether you already started, define which type you are in. That's critical. From the different type you are in, define, you know, especially, and I'm going to focus a little bit more on type 2, because there's a lot of content information on type 1 innovation. On type 2, you know, you need to really do your proper research of what type of investors invest in type 2. It's not that many. It's not that many. And those are very hard to find. And because there's less competition in that space, that doesn't mean it's easier to raise capital, because it's type 2 innovation is much, much riskier. You know, anything that hasn't been proven has a much higher risk of failure, you know, especially most of the time, the biggest failure, you run out of money. So I'm just want to throw you guys out there. If you're type 2 innovator, don't let yourself down, man. Don't let criticism get, because a lot of times when they don't see, they don't believe. And when they don't believe, they tell you it's not going to work, or it's too early, and they'll give you a million reasons why you shouldn't do it. But keep going, man. Keep going. Because it's never the innovation that is bad, right? There's always a way to make it work. You know, you just have to listen to your customer. We've pivoted so many times with our technology over the years, just because we listen to our customer, and technology obviously evolved. So pay attention to the customer. Don't pay attention to anybody else, especially no VCs or investors, you know, because they're not in the front line fighting, understanding what's happening. All right, guys. Well, let me know what you think about this vlog. Put your comment below, and looking forward, man, on 2022 and more vlog to come. Take care.